We're so excited to be talking with two women who've been integral in bringing live theater back to our community. Amber and Aubrey are sharing about the Great Falls Theater Company, and we're learning about their upcoming performance. That's coming up on this episode of We're No Damn Experts.
Best damn podcast, the best damn town. You want to get up, get ready to get down. With its big wide sky and the wild river Thames, if you want to go, we can take you there to Great Falls, Montana.
Welcome to the greatest damn town in Montana, Great Falls. I'm Rebecca Ingham.
I'm Shannon Newth.
And
we're No Damn Experts.
Shannon, tell me all about these people you've lured into our studio today.
Yes, lured them in. They seem like they were happy to be lured, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too upset about it. I know you're excited about this one.
I'm really excited.
Yes, I am
mostly
too.
because they're on the path to making one of my dreams come true.
Yes. I'm sure we'll cover that soon. Yes. But today we have with us Amber and Aubrey and our first baby guest,
Yes,
Mr. Jackson. Welcome.
I'm probably just as excited to have our first baby guest as well.
Yes.
As
It's a lot of
fulfilling
exciting
my
things.
dreams. So
Yeah.
it's a big podcast
Yeah.
episode,
And
folks.
if you hear crying, it's not Rebecca this time.
yeah,
Yeah.
it happens.
Yeah. But welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
So we've told you to come on our podcast. We know why. Tell our guests the big umbrella reason why you're here.
Okay. Well, we are here because we are on the board of the Great Falls Theater Company.
Yay! So exciting.
And that company is producing its first Broadway smash hit. No, I'm sorry. I got a little excited.
Great Falls
I
smash
mean,
hit.
Yes.
Like it. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
correct.
Oh, you're supposed to sing it when you introduce it.
Oklahoma.
Perfect.
Yeah, there is a definite exclamation point
Yeah.
after it. So
Yeah.
you really do have to say Oklahoma.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
we go.
Like the exclamation's like part of like Jeopardy. It's part of
is.
the
It
title,
actually
right?
is.
Okay.
It is part of the
Yes.
title.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Very
So
exciting.
how long have you brilliant women been planning to have this launch?
Oh, goodness.
I mean, because this is no small endeavor. I mean, you've started
No.
No.
the company, and we're going to talk a little bit about Oklahoma.
Nice job.
I love it.
Oh, we'll have to find out what show you want to do next.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Well, I can tell you, we'll get into it.
Okay,
but
good.
my first, I grew up in Eastern Montana, love Fort Peck Theater. You didn't
Yeah.
get to hear my dream at the board meeting when I was there, but I'll tell you the first play I went to at Fort Peck Theater. Maybe we could do that because that would be very nostalgic for me. But so you started a company with a
Yes.
grand vision, and then you're producing your first play. So tell us about the grand vision.
Oh.
So, wow. Amber and I met really through a production of White Christmas.
Love that.
We played sisters. The sisters.
Thus, oh, I was like,
Yes.
sisters or
Yeah.
these sisters?
The sisters.
Oh, who was who?
I was Judy.
Okay. Yes.
Betty, right?
Yes.
Betty?
Yep.
Yeah.
You were-
Yeah.
I know who I was.
The other, you were the other one. Yeah.
You
don't know
can't
who I am
also be
anymore.
Judy.
No, well, I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty talented. I'm pretty sure she is.
Well, my mom just told me about a, I don't know, theory, a rumor, some type of gossip that Betty sang both the parts in White Christmas.
Oh,
Judy
I feel
didn't
like
sing.
I've heard that.
In the
that she
movie
actually
version.
didn't
Yeah.
sing.
She
Yeah.
did.
Rosemary Clooney.
Yeah.
Correct.
That makes a lot
That
of
makes
sense
sense.
now.
But
But you,
Because-
Amber, sang.
Yes,
Yes.
She
I
sang.
did
and
sing
she dances.
and I danced.
I'm a dancer inside.
Oh.
I try
You had to let it
not-
out.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Well,
and-
you let it out enough to get the part.
Well, yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the sister song.
We did pretty well.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
Exactly.
highly talented choreography. I mean, it was a little bit of moves and
Yeah.
some flashing.
That's
of,
right. Big
It's a lot of the
fans.
feathers. The feathers
Yeah.
are the main player there.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Okay, so you met on
we
White
met-
Christmas.
Correct. And we both shared this dream for Great Falls of having a pre-professional towards professional
Professional adjacent.
theater company.
Yeah.
But made of people from our community. And, you know, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Great Falls, we have a very talented community.
It's full of artisans.
It's crazy, actually. Professionals who have made this their home and for years. And so Amber, of course, shortly after she left me, she
betrayal.
she moved to another town in Montana that I happened to grow up in. And when she was making her way back to Great Falls to raise her family, because it's a great place to be, we started talking again about this dream of a theater company. And one thing I will say about my partner in crime here, she is extremely organized, where I am a bit like a...
A little more artistic.
well, I got some issues. I just learned a sentence from Jane Fonda. No is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good quote.
So
yeah.
I have trouble with that. But Amber kept pushing the envelope and saying, okay, I'll do this part of it. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. But I want it so bad. And really what drove us initially was our desire to perform, to have an opportunity to work with the amazing talent that we have in this community, and personally perform, have the opportunity to perform. Because Great Falls has always had a really strong community theater background, and our high schools have strong theater departments, but it's been gone for a while, and I could blame it on a million things, but
Nobody's going to care.
nobody cares.
It wasn't here.
It wasn't here, and we saw an opening. Not to mention, there is so many opportunities for so many different activities in and around Great Falls, that we saw an opportunity to really just really blossom. And our goal then is twofold. One, we can perform. And then the second is that we offer opportunities for artistic growth in our community, and offer a professional grade production to draw people to our community. And because our economy depends on people coming to visit our beautiful town.
Yeah.
And so this is an opportunity to get people here, and also to nurture a love of the arts in our community, so that people want to come back here. Whether maybe they've moved on with their life and they want to come and perform with us, and make a guest appearance, and
We'd welcome that.
Yeah. So
So you've alluded to it a little bit. You're not from Great Falls. Are you from Great Falls, Amber?
I am from Great Falls adjacent. I am from Fairfield, just 35 miles away. So, you know, when I was growing up, Great Falls was my place for everything arts.
Yeah.
You know, my town they know one language, and that is sports. And there's nothing wrong with that. But as a theater nerd growing up, Great Falls is where I came on a weekly basis to take dance lessons, to go to performances. I remember my first theatrical performance was the ballet of Cinderella.
Oh,
That my mom took. And that memory is so vivid still. I was maybe only 3 years old, but just that experience sticks with you.
Yeah.
And so, you know, another goal that we have with this theater is just to provide opportunities for inspiration, that children and adults can experience the theater and all of the wonderful things that and Jackson agrees.
Yes, he does. He's little theater baby.
He is our theater baby.
to have that opportunity to experience art in its many forms. You know, we spoke earlier that Great Falls really has a history of art and artists, and the talent here is so rich. And it's been amazing in this process how many people we just meet on the street and said, oh, well, I have a theater background and I would love to do this for you. Or, you know, people coming to auditions, oh, I have a degree in musical theater. And we're like,
Who are you?
Who
Yeah.
are you?
Uh-huh.
What? How have I not seen you before? So really, as, you know, Aubrey and I met and formed our friendship, we saw this need in the community. And that is our goal, to fill that need. And there is no reason why Great Falls cannot have a thriving theater company. You know, that community theater, that pre-professional, going on professional.
Yeah.
It's all over the state of Montana, and other places do it well, but we can do it just as well, if not better.
Yeah.
Yes, probably better.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the location of Great Falls in the central part of Montana, we have easy access to, I mean, to get here, easy
Yeah.
to get here, whether you're driving, whether you're taking the train, whether you're flying, it doesn't matter. Come see us,
Right.
you know, and we're centrally located. Use us as your home base.
Yes.
And
Maybe
while
a base camp even.
that's
Your base camp for
Exactly.
art and adventure
Exactly.
and theater.
Yeah. Well, and I grew up in Missoula.
Okay, I
did.
was thinking that just because of a conversation I had with your spouse, but
Yes. Yes. But I've been in Great Falls now 26 years. And I tell people, I hope this is okay. Great Falls grows on you a little bit like mold. It's my home.
Yeah.
It is my home. It's where we've raised our children. And we want our kids to come back and come to the theater and to just have an opportunity to just be proud of their hometown. And honestly, you know, Montana has picked up a lot of steam as a state. And my husband just said to his sister who lives in upstate New York, he said, you know, Kelly, here's the thing about Great Falls. There is no reason why people should not come here.
Right.
It's just, there's so, they can come in the winter, we can ski. You can come in the summer, you can play on the river. You can, all of these things. And we started talking about Great Falls, and you know, my husband, who I lovingly refer to as the Prince of Great Falls, you know, what his point was that he thinks Great Falls is definitely just, we are on that, we're standing with our toes, just hanging over. And what it is going to take is people who have a love for our town, who are willing to take that leap of faith. And that's really, I think, of all the things.
Yep.
Amber and I and our initial board, it was this idea that, you know what, we can talk about this for years.
Or we can just do it.
We can just do it. And we are finding our community was prime for it. And the support that we are getting from community members and the surrounding area even is just been, it's been phenomenal. And we are excited. We are excited for the future. We made a commitment to one another that we would be fiscally responsible. And so we are not doing anything that is going to cause any of us to have to mortgage our homes.
That's so hard, though, because it takes so much risk and financing, risk in multiple forms of the word, to
Yes.
start something new. And that's what holds so many people back. So that's not an easy thing to say. We're going to start this. We're going to take a leap. And we're also going to try to be fiscally responsible.
Yes.
Like, that's hard.
It is hard. And
Yeah.
there's been a couple times where we've had individuals who have said, okay, I can put this much money into it. And, you know, I've kind of been that one to say, no, this community and the audiences that we will attract to this community, they will support this.
Yep.
There's not a doubt in my mind.
Tourism's such an interesting thing when it comes to Great Falls. And I say that lovingly because we aren't a tourist destination. We're not like a Whitefish or a Big Sky, but we are full of tourism opportunities. But because of that, the community needs to support something, and then the tourism will fill in kind of that 20 to 40%, depending on what it is, because the community needs to be that foundation for a lot of things. I was just talking with somebody yesterday about that idea of the community needs to support it, and tourism wants it, but it's a hand-in-hand function. So
Well, because we all benefit from that.
Yeah.
You know, and in the long run, you know, as a family here in Great Falls who has always been involved in local business, you know, there's this idea that if you invest in your community, right, if you invest in the people of your community, and there is research that shows that investing in the arts in a community breathes life. And I see such an opportunity for renaissance. And I know that we are not a Whitefish or a Bozeman or a Big Sky. We don't want to be that.
Right.
Because what we have, what we are as Great Falls, I think once the word gets out, the attraction to this community, I mean, bring your
Exploding.
kids, bring your, you know,
bring your grandparents.
bring your grandparents, because look at here, we have live theater. It's going to be amazing. We're doing a classic show.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have done something more contemporary, but really what we were trying to, I mean, we are very deliberate in our choices, because there is this section of tourists who would be attracted to Great Falls because of the Western art and the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center, all of these things that we offer here that...
Well, and we're just ripe with singing cowboys all over the place.
I mean, Oklahoma, Great Falls. Yeah, it's kind of, I mean...
Well, and I don't know if you knew this or not, but the movie that starred Jake Gyllenhaal and somebody else called, oh man, this is
a good
awful.
story.
Yeah. I'm such a fantastic
Wow.
storyteller.
So you remember Jake Gyllenhaal?
He was in Into the Wild, or
The John Krakauer?
I don't know.
Book?
Anyway, it does not matter. Jake Gyllenhaal was in a movie based about Great Falls, Montana, and it was filmed. in Enid, Oklahoma.
Yes.
So you want to talk about a
See?
connection?
There it is. There it is.
It's just everybody
Yeah.
knows.
I know
You
which
think-
one you're talking
You
about.
think about Montana, you
Yeah.
think about
You think
you
Oklahoma.
think Oklahoma.
There it is.
Except
the
for,
connection.
you know, the mountains aspect of it.
I mean...
Details.
But you know what? One thing that I noticed about Great Falls, I remember when I would first come here to visit, and I had always, you know, we were called Big Sky Country. That's what we're called
Yeah.
in Montana. And I was like, I live in a valley of the sky ends at the mountains. And I remember the first time that I actually rode the bus here in the middle of winter to visit Dan's family. And when we came down, right? Yes. Yes. It truly frightening. But what an experience.
You always have that to look back on.
Oh my
now.
gosh.
Yeah.
So I remember coming down the pass, Rogers Pass, and thinking to myself as we kind of planed out into the rolling hills. And then I turned around and looked behind me and saw the Rocky Mountain front and saw this fields of farmland. And I was like, oh my goodness, the sky truly goes on forever.
Yeah.
This is Big Sky Country.
Aubrey,
And-
that's so funny you say that. I have a similar experience. Well, growing up in Fairfield.
With a Greyhound bus?
Not with a Greyhound bus.
I can't wait for this story.
Yes. So growing up in Fairfield, just 35 miles from here, farmland as far as the eye can see. And so when I went to college in the same place that Aubrey grew up, the first month I was there, I felt weird and I didn't know what it was. And I just walked around and I was like, I just feel weird. And I went home for the first time to go visit home. And, you know, the way that you drive to Fairfield from that direction, you come up, turn off at Sims. That's a side tangent, but you come up. And when I got, Jackson's excited. When you come up on what we call the bench, I took a deep breath and I went,
Like, oh, this
this is what it
Yeah.
is.
Been claustrophobic.
I was claustrophobic,
Yeah.
and I didn't realize it because I'm so used to having that wide open space with the Rocky Mountain front.
Yeah.
And to me, there is no better view or place to be.
And
Yeah.
I felt totally exposed. When
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
I'm
which
like,
would make
"Oh."
sense. Yeah.
But one of the things about Great Falls that won me over really vividly, I can remember when I got off the bus, it was 40 below. And
Yep, that'll stick with you.
I mean, I looked at my husband now. He wasn't my husband then. And I said, what is this place? Right? Okay. But here's
Yeah.
the thing.
Because that's a little bit of a shock to your system.
Yes.
the nose hairs freeze immediately when
Yes.
you step out into that.
Yes. But the next morning, I woke up. It was still very cold. I woke up, but the sun was shining. The sun was shining. And I was like, what is this?
This
January
happens in the winter?
was sunshine.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, I woke up and all the snow that had been here was gone because a Chinook blew through.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the greatest place on earth. This is the greatest place on earth because the sun always shines here. And, you know, people complain a little bit about our wind. It's a little breezy here. But can I tell you something?
Clean,
You know
fresh
what?
air.
That's it. Blows all the smog away.
Yeah.
Yep.
And blows the clouds away. And the sun is always shining.
Yeah.
And you can always find a patch of sun
Yeah.
to
that's
sit
true.
in and just be happy that you're breathing clean, fresh air. And so it when I say it grows on you like mold, it was kind of one of those things that Great Falls is just, and honestly, the people here, the genuine, authentic, kind, won me over. And I call Great Falls home now. I mean, I still have family in that western town.
We can say it.
You can name
Missoula.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
We've often
yeah.
had debates about
Yeah.
Grizz
I mean-
on this podcast.
Oh.
But we're not here to discuss that.
And we won't go there. We will not go there. Oh, gosh. Yeah. So, but I mean, honestly, I just think that, you know what I always say about different opportunities. If you can just get people's foot through the door, this is how I feel about Great Falls and tourism. I feel like if we can just lure them here, right?
Yes.
It's like, come here, little fishy. Once you are here, I mean, we have some of the best restaurants I have ever eaten at. And I've traveled the world. I mean, I have. It's amazing.
So we had completely not connected to theater, but we had consultants here, and I took them to Fifth and Wine for dinner.
Nice.
And the gentleman I was with, and I wouldn't never order this, but he ordered the whatever meat dish that came with pesto. And it sat down, and he was all excited about it. And then he tastes the pesto, and he goes, "Oh my God!" He goes, "You've got to taste this." And so we all share a bite of the pesto that's on his dish. He goes, "This is the freshest pesto I have ever eaten in my life," and it was phenomenal.
Wow.
So much so, they were here in May. My friend says, "Hey, Paul Cawthon is going to be at the Newberry. I'm coming up, get a ticket, we'll go." And I'm like, perfect. Will you be here in time where we can go eat? Because I want to go eat at Fifth and Wine and have this pesto thing again because I only had a bite.
Oh.
So she's like, "Oh yeah, we'll be there in time." And I'm like, perfect. Don't screw this up for me.
Get here.
I need the pesto.
Because my husband is not one that would willingly go there to eat. Like I have to, it's my birthday or
Yeah.
whatever you want to do, honey. Okay, we're going to go eat here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not his thing. I love it. So,
But there are
it
those
takes all
moments.
kinds.
Yeah, when you walk into some of the places, especially, you know, I'm kind of a fan of the downtown.
Yeah.
I really feel like our downtown is, again, one of those, we're right on the cusp.
Oh, yes.
It's just, we're hanging
Like
in
the
there.
last 10 years
Yes.
has been incredible.
There's
Yes,
good things.
yes. There's good things happening in this town. There's great things happening in this town to get people's toe into the water.
Yeah.
And then once you put your toe in,
Yeah.
I mean, we do have the Missouri River running right through our town.
And the sun.
And the sun.
If you really want to get specific, we got 2 rivers.
That's true.
3.
They come
The Mud River too flows.
Row.
Row.
The Row River.
Shortest
Yes,
river
that's
in the.
technically there. Yeah.
It is. It is. Yeah.
So, what is your background beyond just the love of theater where you're like, let's do this? Like, do you have production degrees? Are you theater majors? What? Because I know they've got a decent program at
That place.
the
that
UM location for those kind of things. Just wondering, is that where you ended up, or is it just a passion project?
Wow. Oh, well, as I said before, I grew up in Fairfield, and I've always had a love for the theater and the arts and singing from my mother, and grew up dancing. And so I was exposed to theater actually through Missoula Children's Theater, who travel around, which is a wonderful...
They do a great program.
Yeah, opportunity to expose children to theater. And that's how I really got, put the two and two together, the music and the dancing all in one into theater. And I was like, oh, I like all of this. So in college, I majored in music, in vocal performance.
I didn't realize that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And about halfway through that, I said, I want to do something else because I'm very left brain, right brain. So I ultimately, long story short, I went to law school.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
There's that.
Well, of course.
Right.
It makes perfect sense.
Yep.
And now I am an attorney here in town, and I love to
Sing
tap
on
dance
them.
on
Yeah.
the side.
We were just talking, Rebecca, before you got in, how Amber and I met through a mutual friend that Aubrey knows well as well. And we were just talking about when she was studying for the bar, she took like a 12-hour break for this bachelorette party for our friend, where we all dressed
Yes.
up in like
80s gear.
80s neon gear. But we were just talking about like how we knew each other, reflecting on that, and that it was she took like a brief break to get an 80s garb from studying for the bar.
And then I took the bar and had to leave the next day to make it to the wedding.
Oh, yeah. So Katie's stuff just interfered with the bar. Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
There's
oh, my
that.
goodness.
So I started out at the University of Montana as well as a vocal performance major with an emphasis in opera. And I had a great plan. I was going to spend 2 years with my voice teacher, Esther England, may she rest in peace, who was phenomenal. And then my plan was to go audition for the San Francisco Opera.
Oh, wow.
And then I met my husband.
Ruined it.
And then I decided I really don't like studying music in this way. It took the love and the joy, because you have to study things that you don't get to just sing.
Yeah.
Right.
Go figure.
I had a similar experience. I was, you take all these classes, and one of them was diction. And, I was in there and learning how to say the proper Italian aw vowel. And I just had this moment of like, who cares?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Some people do.
some people do,
And
and
that's fine. That's
Right.
fine.
and they fill a vital role in our society. But I didn't have that passion that my professors did about the aw vowel.
Which vowels you were,
and
yeah.
and that was kind of like a wake up call for me. And opera was never my calling. I was more musical theater, but the program in Missoula, it's very, very good, but it's very opera heavy, and I just wasn't finding like my niche,
Yeah. Well, and I got fired from my voice teacher, who I had since I was 14 years old.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I started studying with her at the university when I was 14. And when I told her I was dropping my vocal performance major, she said, I don't have room in my schedule to continue to teach you. And it was kind of this devastating identity crisis, because I had always identified myself with that I was one of Esther's students. Our own beloved Mary Moore here in Great Falls.
Yeah.
They were good friends. And so, so it was a thing. But what the beauty that came out of that was Ann Basinski had just joined the faculty at the University of Montana, and her background was in musical theater. And so I went on to pursue a degree in organizational communications, which I've never.
Didn't you just say organization isn't your thing?
Yeah.
But the
But I'm a-
organization as a thing you do versus
Versus
organization
the communication
as
of
the
it. This is true.
the
'Cause I'm a
group of
talker.
people.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a talker.
There it is.
I've never worked necessarily in that field because I became a church lady, which is a whole nother story. But Anyway, I had an amazing opportunity when I was in college. I was Miss Montana. And so it really helped me that Anne was who God put in front of me, really, in my devastation that I couldn't study with Esther anymore, because she had this background in theater performance. And that's really what you need, you know, to draw an audience, a well-rounded audience.
Yes.
Because not everyone likes opera. It's a thing.
Right.
So, so that was an amazing experience. And the ironic thing was growing up in that other town in Western Montana, and a lot of people comment about Missoula Children's Theater. I was never involved with theater. I wasn't part of that clique. I wasn't part of that group. And theater can get kind of snarky that way. You know, if you're not... And I think that the reason I bring this up is because that's one of the things that's very important to us, that we are nurturing, we're nurturing a family kind of an atmosphere where you don't just get a part because you happen to be around all the time. We really are looking for new talent and old talent and a mix of that. And so we really want our company, and it's been one of the challenges in Great Falls with theater, is that if you're not part of the group, quotes, air quotes, if you're not part of the group, it's very hard to get in. It's very hard to get your toe in the door. And I remember when I very first came to Great Falls, I called the Symphony Chorale. And I said, hey, I'm interested in coming and auditioning for you. And they're like, well, what voice part do you sing? I said, I sing soprano. Oh, we don't need any sopranos. I've never auditioned for the Great Falls Symphony Chorale ever again. Yeah. Because it's that door slamming in your face. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't, because our Symphony Chorale is amazing and such an opportunity right here in Great Falls. But, you know, to not shut doors on people. And it's one of the reasons through our website and through just our community and reach out is that we want people who have a background in, you know, construction, come be a part of this. And what we've seen with this cast for Oklahoma is just really a coming together of very diverse and eclectic people who all have a common love, not only for theater, but are here in Great Falls for a reason. And they're excited to be part of something positive to draw people to our community. And so, it's, I mean, I do have a background in performance, and Amber does as well, but that's not really, you know, I am a parish administrator at a Catholic church, and I was a youth minister for 25 years. So, I mean, it's like, well, I'm,
And I think that that's kind of how the arts works, because, you know, there's so many few and far between jobs that pay a living for artists, unfortunately. And so artists have to find other things to do. And so you get, you know, all of our cast in Oklahoma have day jobs, and then they come for their evening and use their talent for the betterment of this community. And it's just, it's really amazing. And so everyone has a similar story of, you know, I've tap danced for 20 years, but I have to make a living. So
tap dancing doesn't pay the bills, folks.
I write wills during the day and tap dance at night. And
tap dancing attorneys.
And sometimes in the middle of the night.
Yes.
I always equate it to kind of that sports analogy. Like, everyone wants to get their college basketball scholarship so that they can go into the NBA or football or whatever. And it's such a small percentage of people that make it to that level. And the arts are the same way. I had a colleague years ago that asked this random question. She worked for the Montana World Trade Center at the University of Montana, and she says, do you think you can learn to sing, or do you have to have some natural ability? And I'm like, well, I think you can enhance natural ability. I said, but I think you have to have some to start with. I think if you suck at singing, you're not just going to show up and like be good after years of coaching. She's like, oh, she quit her job and moved to LA and works in the entertainment industry and started to learn how to sing. I don't know what happened to her, but
Good for her.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if she could sing to start with.
She
or
must
not.
have been able to.
I would think.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is it's a misconception that, yes, most performers, most artists have a God-given, there's something in
Some
there. There's
talent.
something in there.
Yeah.
But that's the same in the sports world. You can't be a non-athletic person
And suddenly go in the
and
Olympics.
suddenly be
Yeah.
like, okay, it's like when I drove past Toro Medical School the other day, and I literally was on the phone with my mom. I said, I'm thinking maybe I'm going to go to medical school. And she's like, excuse me? I said, it just looks fun there. It looks exciting. That's not really
Yeah.
how it
Yeah.
works. And she said, well, you should just do it. And I said, well, Mom, yeah.
Thanks for the support.
I love you, and I kind of was joking, but I was kind of serious. But it is that thing, it's like when I was trying to coach my youngest daughter in basketball, and I had to call in my friend who actually is a basketball coach and say, okay, I only signed up to be the coach because I wanted control of the schedule, the practice schedule. Can you help me? Yeah. But her thing that she always told the kids, when they were third graders when she started, was the more touches on the ball, the better. So in the summer, just shoot free throws. Just shoot them. Every time you touch the ball, better. And my brother is a volleyball coach here in Great Falls, and he says the same thing. More touches, the better. Singing and acting, all of those things it's the same, right? It's repetitive.
It's like anything, it's a muscle.
Practice
muscle.
makes perfect.
That's right.
It really is. And learning what your voice can do is a experience. It's a personal meditative journey almost of what you can do with your body. Same as sports or anything that's movement based. Singing and acting, it's all movement based, and it's honing what you already have, but learning how to.
Well, and I always tell people, I don't use my maiden name very often. I have a hyphenated name. But when I'm in a program or I'm performing, it's always hyphenated. And the reason is because my parents invested. My parents invested in my gift. They invested time, talent, treasure into what I am today, right? And so these parents that are, spending thousands of dollars for traveling sports teams, great, good for you. Same
Same kind of investment.
It's the same thing, and it's just like, you always tell your voice students or your kids in shows or adults in shows, it's like, well, you have to actually practice. Or you can just stay where you are, and that's great. I mean, you have
your choice.
You have a great gift, but you need opportunities, and that's exactly the twofold. I mean, it's more than twofold.
Yeah.
Of the theater company is to give people opportunities to exercise those muscles, to exercise their voices, I mean, the orchestra that is, I kid you not,
It's phenomenal.
Steve Olson, our conductor, I don't know. I don't know why he's still here. But
you need to have him on this podcast.
You do.
Another one
Yeah.
to poach.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
yes, he's amazing. So I went to a rehearsal, and a week ago?
Yeah.
It was the first rehearsal with the orchestra. And I literally sat there. I was holding Jackson, and I was sitting there, and I'm like, where am I? Where am I right now? I am sitting in the theater at the University of Providence in Great Falls, Montana, and I am listening to something that belongs on a big venue stage,
Wow.
And that man has invested not only in Great Falls as a teacher, but into our theater company as our friend and guide. And honestly, the people he recruits to be in that orchestra, you look and they're business people, they're students, it's like this hodgepodge of It's just wild.
Randomness.
It
Yeah.
truly is. And you're sitting there going, truly, where am I? You close your eyes and listen to him. I remember when we went to New York and we took the girls to Book of Mormon. Anyway, we had these great seats and everyone said, oh, those are awful seats. I'm like, no, because I could see down into the pit.
Okay.
And so I am literally videoing and sending it to Steve because I'm like, there is no reason you should be in Great Falls, Montana, but you are. And I am so glad that you are.
Yeah.
So I tell you, the caliber of
Talent.
honestly, you truly, if you just shut your eyes for a minute.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing too about the University of Providence Theater is it's air conditioned.
That is nice.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you because there's nothing more uncomfortable than
Theater in the summer where it's not air conditioned.
Feeling like you're in Oklahoma summer.
yeah. And
Yeah.
you just are like, I am enjoying this, but I'm sticking to my
miss
seat.
it.
Yeah.
So there's some things about that are just beautiful. There's some challenges we've faced.
It's
with that
also
venue.
a little bit smaller of a venue.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say smaller. Intimate.
Yes.
Yeah,
a very
that's a good
nice,
word. Yeah, I
intimate,
like that word.
quality venue. So you are doing multiple performances to make sure everybody gets an opportunity to see the
We
show.
are, and our
Yes.
ticket sales are they're amazing right now.
Yep.
We're just excited. There's nothing better as a performer to stand on a stage with an audience that is full. It
So are
doesn't matter
you-
if it's
And
100
invested
or
and- yeah.
500.
Yeah.
If it's in a venue where it's full,
Full.
there's
It's
an
amazing.
energy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. So we're doing 6 performances.
You said you showed up for your first rehearsal, which leads me to believe you're not in the performance.
Neither one of you are, correct?
No.
Okay.
So the one goal is completely dead.
Well, so Aubrey and we are
Next time.
next time.
Jeez.
I was pregnant and I didn't think that having a baby in the middle of rehearsal would be
Was a great
was
idea.
a great idea. And really, I'm taking more of Aubrey and I are taking more of the producer role on this
okay.
one, to make sure that the show can happen financially, and that we're doing community outreach,
Doing all
and
the legwork for
yes,
it. Yeah.
and then we just get to show up and marvel at the talent on
At
stage.
what you guys have created. Yeah.
And be thankful that I don't have to learn lines right now or choreography, because there's pros and cons. But rest assured that Aubrey and I will be back on stage.
and
in
it's
the
been
coming
interesting
times.
because people who know us know
Yes.
what one of the motivators for this
Yeah.
was, and they're like, what role are you in Oklahoma? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not. I'm going to be selling tickets at the front door and taking your tickets and maybe giving you a water if you need that. I'm not in this one. And they're just like, what?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because I will say, as performers in Great Falls, we develop a following. And I'm not saying that in arrogance. It's truly this community supports its own. It really does.
Yeah.
And so people are excited to see the people they've seen on stage before, which there are some familiar faces in our cast, but there is also some faces of people that we're just like, what rock did you crawl out from underneath? And where have you been?
Yeah.
How
Yes.
long have you been in our town? And, being an Air Force town, which is totally a new experience for me, it's crazy because we get people here who are stationed here with their spouse, and they're here for 3 years sometimes, and then they're gone. And we just have to suck the artistic life out of them while they're here.
Give me everything you have.
Yes, but what happens is those people, when they are involved in something happening in the community, they draw their relatives from out of state will come to see them, and they make a connection with this community that continues long into the future.
Well, and one that is not easy to replicate. Like, those are core memories that stick with
Yes.
them. So
Yes, and that's also, I mean, the beauty of I was having a conversation with a woman who is renting a space from us, and I'm like, so have you always wanted to were you a dancer before? And because she teaches jazzercise.
Okay.
Which is very exciting.
Yeah.
I haven't gone to a class yet, but I'm going to. Anyway, I said, so is your background in dance? She's like, I'm not a dancer. I'm like, you teach jazzercise. Jazzercise. She's like, no, actually, I have an MFA in lighting design.
Oh.
Well, that could come
Theater
in
lighting
handy. Yeah.
design. And I was like, this was me, blink. blink, blink. I'm like,
You're like,
what did you just say?
You have what now?
I said, are you serious? She's like, well, that's what my MFA is in, is, you know, it's a master's in lighting and sound design. And I haven't done it for years because I'm raising my small children. And I just like looked at her and I was like, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
I said, hey.
Because what were the odds that we
Right.
needed
We needed a lighting designer.
lighting designer?
And here she
Yeah.
is. And she's here because her husband is in
Oh
the
my
Air Force.
gosh.
And she's like, I haven't done it for a while. And I'm like, I don't
doesn't
care.
matter.
I do not care. I'm like, will you come help
It's
us?
like riding a bicycle. It'll
Yeah.
all come
Yes.
back.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I have my kids. And we're like, oh,
It doesn't matter.
just
Bring
bring
'em.
them. I said, I will hold your babies.
Yeah.
I will
Yep.
entertain your children while you help because I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's not
Well,
my
what a
gift.
specific
Oh my
talent
goodness.
too, you know.
It's wild. It's wild.
I'm telling you, Aubrey and I went to the auditions, and we're checking people in and listening to them sing, and we would just look at each other, like, how? Everyone is amazing.
Right. You
Where
didn't
do
have
they
one
come
zinger.
from?
We did not have one zinger audition. Not
No.
one. Not one. I mean, there's
I'll
always one.
show up next time.
Okay, good.
Then
that
you'll be
will be
like,
fun.
oh my goodness.
No. There's always a part. We can find something.
Will you rotate between musicals and non-musical productions? Are you kind of always going to do musicals?
There always has to be a musical in the mix.
Okay.
But
Yes.
we absolutely want to diversify the offerings that we give the community in surrounding areas. And so, yes, straight plays. I would love to have opportunities for, dancers to showcase their skills,
Yeah.
comedy. I want to offer space for budding playwrights.
Yeah.
Really just having that canvas that the community can really experience and put forth their talents.
So Oklahoma is just the beginning, folks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as the theater company grows into its future, we'll be able to announce more and more
Yes.
of that. Maybe even White Christmas makes a
Uh-huh.
debut in Great Falls. Who knows?
Reprise your roles. Yes.
But you can always find the information on our website. Visit greatfallsmontana.org on our events page.
Yes.
There
Yes.
it is.
We have
Links
that.
to their
Perfect.
stuff to get tickets. So
Yep.
always be on the lookout because there's so much more to come of
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Yes, we have big plans for this theater company.
So exciting.
I'm so excited. The vision is there and the support is there. And so this is just the beginning.
Yay.
So my first play that I ever went to
Yes. I
Oh,
was waiting
yes.
for this.
was at the Fort Peck Theater. And a friend of mine, I was staying with a friend of mine, her mom is from the Wolf Point area. And so we ended up at this thing and she's like, we're going to go to the theater. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because grew up in a classy town. Basketball was our religion. And so I was like, well, I've never been to this. So this is going to be weird, right? I was so enamored with every aspect of it, mostly from an entertainment standpoint, because I'm like, that's beyond talent that I have. But it was My Fair Lady.
I would love to do My Fair Lady.
Yes.
Oh, yes. That's going to
And
put
it's,
it in the
of course, a story I knew nothing about
Yeah.
at that age.
Oh, that's a beautiful show.
Oh, and then you just see the sets moving all the time, and then the ice cream intermission because it's not air conditioned.
Yeah.
No,
it's summer,
it is
yeah.
not. Yeah.
And then I don't know where the talent came from, probably my sister-in-law, but both of my nieces are into theater and arts, and the middle one, the youngest niece, is starring in Matilda this year at Fort Peck, and the oldest is doing set design.
Oh, that's neat.
I
So-
love that.
That's awesome.
Fun.
Yeah,
Oh.
she has the oldest one has such that talent for creating an atmosphere and that
That's awesome.
component. And the younger one is definitely more of the, I will just stand up and show you whatever I'm doing. And I'm like, you have just courage beyond belief, my girl. So
Which
that's
is such
awesome.
a great
That's
quality.
awesome.
Yeah. I got to do some when I was little and still now. I want to be an actress and wanted to be an actress. And so I got to do some theater originally from Kansas City. And when I was little girl auditioned and got to be in Miracle on 34th Street,
Oh.
which I loved. And you should do that this holiday season, just saying. So it's forever
That's
been
funny.
my favorite one.
Funny, because I just was I was scrolling through
All the shows.
Yeah.
and I'm like, Amber, what do you know about Miracle on 34th Street? I said, there's 2 different versions of it. Should we look into this? Because I think that would be,
I think so.
yeah,
Yes.
because it's just a beautiful show.
Yeah. I got to be Helga, who is the little Dutch girl who
Yes,
goes, and my lines,
yes.
they didn't include the singing part in the one that I did, but I learned my lines were in Dutch, and I went, and I was, I don't know, 8 or
Awesome.
something, and went and sat on Santa's lap on stage and got to say my lines in
love
Dutch
that.
and
I
be
love
little
it.
Helga. And so like Miracle on 34th Street, I've always just loved
beautiful
it because
story.
that was my like introduction
Yeah.
to theater.
Actually,
and, yeah.
side tangent, Miracle on 34th Street, I think, is part of the reason why I became a lawyer.
Yeah? I love that.
I was always inspired that,
Yes.
you know, a lawyer could prove that Santa
was real.
Existed.
Based on
in a-
here's your evidence from a governmental agency.
in a court of law. And I always just thought that was
The coolest
the
job.
coolest thing to do
I love it. That is so cool.
in both versions.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And yeah, that's always been like, I think that was my first experience of like, that's what a lawyer does.
Yes.
And
yeah.
so part of me always feels like I'm out to, you know,
Prove.
prove
Yes.
that Santa is real.
Yeah.
I think
He
it's a
is.
sign. I think,
Yeah.
Yes.
I think maybe, you know, I'm seeing
Yes.
a season shaping up here.
Yes, I love it.
Wow.
Okay, well, I will audition or volunteer my
Okay.
time to help or
That's
both.
awesome.
I don't think you can be Helga again.
Probably a little old for that now.
But-
yeah.
No, you've
Yeah,
got the
you're not very-
stature. I mean, you're not.
yeah, I'm not tall. Yeah,
It's a grown
still
much.
sit on. Sit
I
on
mean,
somebody.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Do you still remember the Dutch?
I remember there, and please, if anybody actually know, there was something like "Ich bin blij te komen ben." That's like all I remember. And that's probably not even real words I'm saying now, but it was something like that, like cadence
Yes.
to it. I remember, like that wasn't the full line, but that was like the end of a line, and I just kind of remembered like
I
the
love it.
cadence of it.
Oh, that's
yeah.
wonderful. That's awesome.
I love that.
And I had little like braids that I wore, and forever anytime I wore little braids, my dad would call them my Helga braids, and my mom will still say that if I ever do, you know, like the pigtail braids, like so.
Nice.
Yeah, it was just like a pivotal part of my
Yeah.
childhood.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So I don't know how to transition from that.
I
So
don't
I'm
know
not
either.
going to. It's just going to be weird. What are the dates for the performance
Yes.
of Oklahoma?
Yes, opening night is July 13th.
Yay!
Oh, next week.
Next week. So we have all evening performances at 7:30. So it's July 13th, 14th, and 15th. So the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then the following week on the 20th, 21st, and 22nd. All at the University of Providence Theater.
Awesome.
Look at that.
And you can get your tickets online.
Yep.
Correct.
Yes, and we
And
have a
they're
link to that on our page.
so expensive.
So expensive. How expensive are they?
I was like, what?
So it's a total of $27.50.
goodness.
When you
Yeah.
put
Live
in
art
Yeah.
performance for
Yes.
$27.50.
It's fantastic.
People,
Yeah.
make a date night of it.
let me
Love it.
just tell you, if you're sitting at home and you're like, man, this sounds amazing. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. You could do Oklahoma and horse racing. Could you
Yes.
find anything more
Wow.
random to slam together?
It brings together the two things I wanted to be when I was a kid: a horse jockey and an actress.
I think you could
No
still be a
joke.
jockey. But the reason I say that is you buy your tickets to Oklahoma,
Yep.
you book your hotel. Any hotel in our town is going to give you free tickets to
Yes.
the horse racing.
That's right.
That's
The
right.
15th, 16th, 22, 23.
Yeah.
I got your
Corresponds
weekend
with it.
planned.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love
Yes.
it.
Done.
Plus, you could go to one of our great restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
And
things
have
to do in
brunch on
between the
Sunday.
time.
There are tons of
Exactly.
brunch options,
Oh my gosh.
live music on
Yes.
Sundays. I mean, I don't know why you're not here.
Already. Yeah.
Come dip
do
your
it.
toe. Come dip your toe in Great
Dip your
Falls.
toe and then take
Well,
the plunge.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
So, put you on the spot. Are you ready to announce the next play? Like, have you picked
I wish.
something? Okay.
Miracle on 34th Street. Duh.
I
mean, hello.
you know, this was very helpful in So there's a lot that goes on the back end of that.
I can only
A
imagine.
lot of things that people know nothing about when it comes to
so
selecting options.
You could have the show that you want to do, but that doesn't necessarily mean you get to do it, the show, because there's all this legal stuff in the background.
Good thing you're involved.
Which is very convenient.
Yes.
To have Amber.
So you have to apply to
Oh my goodness, I
put the
didn't realize
show
you had
on
to apply.
with whichever company owns the rights to the show.
Wow. Okay.
And they deem whether or not you can put the show on.
Wow.
Yes. And then once you know, pay all the royalties and things, then you
Yeah.
can formally announce that you will be doing the shows on
Okay.
X dates and all of that fun stuff. So
That seems scary, especially when you're just starting a theater company, to be
So-
like, okay, how do we get rolling on this?
I'm not going to lie. I was very panicky about Oklahoma because this was the show we wanted to do. And then I was like, oh, we got to do all these other things first. And, and so then I'm applying for it and I'm like, just fingers crossed. I was like, please let this work.
Oh my gosh.
And it did.
Yeah, it did.
Because I learned from Amber that there's like geography issues. Like if someone else in a certain mileage range,
Proximity,
they're like, no, we can't saturate this area with too much performance of this
classical
one
Yes.
performances.
Yeah, there's a formula that goes into it, and you know how many tickets you want to sell, and that goes into whatever formula they have on how much you pay, and they will send people to your show too to make sure that you're following all of the guidelines.
You can't change the gist of things. It's
Wow.
You know,
I
so we
did
couldn't
not know that.
we couldn't take Oklahoma and make it Montana.
Yeah.
You know, so
no
Copyright.
No.
Wow.
yeah. So we hope
There's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah,
Wow.
we hope to have our upcoming season announced. We do know that we want to do more than one show and a couple other things and really expand our youth offerings. So, yes, there's lots of fun things coming down the pike.
Awesome.
So stay tuned here, folks. We'll tell you about it when we're able to.
Yes.
And when we know. We won't keep it from you. They'll keep it from us,
For good reason.
which is a good reason.
I mean, we could launch our season from your show.
There's certain things
Yeah,
I
we can
should
do
not
that. Yeah.
be informed about because I'll just go like, I'm not sure. I don't remember if this is supposed to be public or not, but I'm going to say it.
Don't tell her.
So here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll be like, no, I think that's public. I'm like, good deal. So
Thank goodness.
you'll always get your good information about the arts here in Great Falls from everything we do. We love it. We love that you're working this hard
Yes.
night and day to make theater a reality for our community
Yes,
and the
thank
people
you.
who come
Thank you.
visit us.
Thank
So.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited.
So thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this was fun.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Thanks, Jackson.
It's always fun. Jackson, you've been a great guest. I love it. And until we see you all here in our fine community, we hope you are creating amazing memories with your friends and family wherever you might be. We'll see you soon.
We're No Damn Experts is the recorded claims from Great Falls, Montana, covering what you need to know about this amazing damn town.